Well, I think London actually is quietly dying. London was booming, and everybody wanted to be in London because it was free, it was entrepreneurial, it was the place everybody wanted to be. Now, I don't think that's the case. I think people are leaving London. And as you can probably see, our economy is not growing. I think we're heading for a catastrophe on that front because we've got what I call chalk jockeys in Rachel Reeves and a lot of the people making these decisions. They haven't got a clue. They've never run a business in their lives, and they just don't understand it. So despite the fact they think they can centrally plan a recovery, they won't, because what's happening is the key drivers of the economy are leaving.
They aren't going to stop. They're going to keep going because they don't serve Britain. They, the uniparty, the establishment, they don't serve us. They serve their globalist overlords. They're all in the pocket. It's all part of the new world order to replace patriotism, to replace masculinity, to replace Christianity.
I feel that we've been betrayed by the church in Britain. I think the church has been infiltrated by Marxists who don't believe in Jesus themselves, and they've used it for their own agenda. And I feel betrayed, and have done for a long time, by the church leaders. They've always sided with the communists, have sided with the Islamists against us, the working class. We were their lost sheep. I look up to Donald Trump. I look up to Elon Musk. I look up to Geert Wilders. I look up to anyone who spoke out and took the risks and didn't need to.
Terrorist attacks in Poland. Why? Because there is no illegal migration in Poland.
I think there's no question that the establishment, and that's the police, that's social services, it's the NHS, it's local politicians, it's all of the establishment have literally turned a blind eye and walked along the other side of the street. Meanwhile, vulnerable white working class girls have been ritually abused by largely Pakistani Muslim men. There's some Afghanistanis and some Bangladeshis, but the majority of it is Pakistani Muslim men.
Grooming gangs that I would call rape gangs. Tell me about them. How many of those have we got?
Can she define what she means by that?
Yes. If you look at what's gone on in Rotherham, where there are people taking young girls, grooming them for sex, that is what I'm talking about.
What's a misunderstanding? What does she mean by that?
Tommy Robinson was right about this when he first talked about it in Luton, around, I think it was 2002, 3, 4, somewhere around then. And he's been consistently right about it. And I think, again, he deserves credit for that. He's obviously got issues which people criticize him for, which I don't know about, and I don't never met Tommy. I've never spoken to Tommy. But I think he deserves credit for what he's got right. And, I'm not sure he's had that.
Drug dealing, the heroin dealing, the pimping of young girls, the grooming, they were confined to towns like Luton. They're not now. They're widespread across the country, and people can see them in their own town.
That's an example of where the establishment's let down the British people. Two-tier justice, two-tier policing. And it's really because people are frightened of basically admitting that post-war multiculturalism has failed. They're frightened of being called a racist, as Emily Maitlis called me, which I ignore. But I think she's a classic example of what I call the fully paid-up liberal elite who, like to basically sort of pretend that this hasn't been happening. And arguably she's part of the problem. If she's doing her job properly, she should have been exposing this.
Let me say this. The police want change. I know they do. The army wants change. Our education system wants change. But culture runs downstream from politics. If the masses want liberalism, degeneracy, debauchery, godlessness, they shall have it. This, patriots, all ends when we say it ends.
What is our government elected to do? In my simplistic and probably unintelligent view of life, they're elected to represent the interests of the British voter, the British taxpayer, and British society. They're not elected to carry out sort of global welfare or indulge their passion for some sort of woke concept that they think they should be pursuing. No, they're servants of the people, And they should be serving the interests of people who have helped build this country up, whose families, whose forebears, everybody has played a part in making Britain what it is. And it's about time, we got a bit of backbone and we started to stand up. I mean, ultimately, I think government misguidedly thinks the more people they bring in, the higher the GDP. But the less skilled they are, the lower the GDP per capita, which is falling fast. Emily called me a racist. I'm not remotely a racist. I have no problem with targeted immigration. And I don't mind where those people come from, as long as they bring with them skills that are going to contribute to our society and they respect what Britain is, what Britain historically has been. So they have to respect us. And what we haven't got is integration. So a lot of these people who've come here in huge numbers are low skilled. They haven't integrated. They've been abusing the postal vote, which is something I think needs to be radically changed. And I don't think they respect our culture. In fact, I know they don't respect our culture. So for me, those people are not people we should be bringing in and damaging the fabric of our country. This current wave, I think, is incredibly damaging. And again, this is one of the things that the establishment has to admit they got wrong. And that's Blair, that's Cameron, particularly Boris. People think we shouldn't be giving illegal migrants any benefits. Well, I agree with that. Come here illegally, why should you get any benefits? Why should you go to the top of the waiting list for medical treatment, for housing? Why should you get spending money? Yeah. No. We should be looking after our veterans. We should be looking after the English, the British, the people who've actually paid into the system. I mean, why on earth would anyone think that's not logical? Until 1992, really, we had a pretty stable society, and Maggie left the country in rude health, financially and I think structurally and in terms of self-belief. From then, really, the architects of our downfall are Tony Blair, Gordon Brown, Peter Mandelson and Alistair Campbell. I think Blair, they had a plan. They undermined our legal system, which I'm happy to talk about. They undermined our constitution, the unwritten constitution that we have. They effectively passed laws like the Human Rights Act, which embeds within it the ECHR. They passed the Equalities Act. That was a sort of brown-eyed piece of legislation. Again, I think was not good for the cohesion of our society. But the genesis of the real damage has come from Tony Blair. And since then, we have actually seen immigration rising very fast. And really, the parliamentary process is a joke now. It's actually the civil service and the permanent secretaries who run Britain, and they're not elected. And a lot of them are extremely woke. They are questionable people in terms of both their morals, in terms of their outlook. Ultimately, they're not elected. They outlive most parliaments, and effectively, therefore, it's them that's governing the country, and it's them that's letting the British people down. Parliament's just a charade. I mean, Parliament is it's a show for the people. It shouldn't be. And really, what has to happen now is the MPs have to stand up for themselves and start to actually take back the power that the Constitution is supposed to vest in Parliament. We've got to unite the entire British population, and we've got to encourage them to stand up for common sense, which is what I think they're ready to do. We have to then give them a platform which, when they elect it, is going to deliver for them and not for the people they elect. So that's the key, as I see it now.